Good evening, everyone. Finally, welcome to April's full council meeting for Wilton Town Council. Before we start, just to remind everyone, the meeting is streamed online. It is recorded. It will be placed on YouTube at some point in the month for review. So just bear that in mind. That all these meetings are recorded. Before we start the meeting, we're going to go into community engagement. But before we do that, I'd like to ask the police to provide an update so that we don't hold you from your important duties.
Yes, absolutely. Hi everyone, I'm PC Palace. I'm neighbourhood police officer for Wilton and Harnham. So apologies if I don't know anyone's faces yet. I started the role in January. I'm trying to get out and come to as many of these as possible. I'm working with Peter So King, Charlotte. She's put this report together for me, so it won't matter if there's anything wrong with it. So we're still going with our speed enforcement down the avenue in Wilton. Very big spot for us at the moment. 19th of March, over the course of 25 minutes, 30 vehicles seen speeding, 24 vehicles speeding along there. 31st of March, down the avenue, 30 vehicles, with the fastest being recorded at 47 miles an hour. So it's obviously far too quick. 42 drivers will be up to speed awareness course. 12 drivers will be receiving a fixed penalty notice and 3 points. We'll just be keeping going with this for as long as it takes for those numbers just to start coming down, because it's far too many over the course of 25 and 30 minutes. It's just unacceptable. So we'll be focusing our areas on there. We've also got a bit of a push for preventative home security. Non-dwelling burglaries in the area are going up. So garden sheds, garages, all things like that. People are looking for the tools, especially more than anything. So we've just got some posters here, just raising awareness for everyone. So we try and put those out in those public areas, notice boards and stuff, just to raise awareness for everyone, just to keep safe and be as preventative as you possibly can. Charles just put a little bit on the end that both myself and her are going to be attending the annual meeting on the 20th of April as well. So I don't know who will be attending that. Hopefully all of you will be seeing us there. And yeah, any issues you can ask us there. But that's my update. Does anyone have any questions for me or any concerns or anything like that? Lovely. Good.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're going to now move on to public participation. So just to remind everyone, there'll be a maximum of 20 minutes assigned to this section of the meeting, so therefore we will look to conclude this by 7:30. Can I just ask that all members of the public that decide to speak, you have up to 3 minutes of speaking time, and can you just state your name before you make your comment or ask your question? So if I start in the room, please, who would like to go first? So just over here, Paula Johnson.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, I've got a few questions. So my first question is, what is the budget for the car park refurbishment in Castle Meadow? The second question is, has the council collected any data on the current usage of the car park in Castle Meadow? If yes, when and how? Question 3, why is the council considering the destruction of the Wildflower Meadow and Butterfly Bank to create more parking? This is reference to the sketch in the agenda pack that shows a drawing that would be getting rid of that patch. The council has a statutory duty to conserve and enhance biodiversity. This is in the Environment Act in section 102. Tarmacking over the Wildflower Meadow would therefore be breaking the law. Is this council prepared to break the law to get a few more parking spaces? Question 4, the wildflower patch is referred to as being in poor health in the meeting document. Who inspected it? When did they do it? And what was their professional qualification to do so? Question 5, Will the tender documents ask for quotes for the car park refurbishment based on its current size and layout? Question 6, where will the tender be advertised? And reference, so this is reference to the toilets. So the proposed car park and toilets, proposed tender document for the car park states this: the tender process has been undertaken in accordance with the council's financial regulations and the principles of the Procurement Act 2023, using a transparent and competitive approach proportionate to the value and risk of the project. So the question is, why was there no tendering process to appoint Healthmatic to the toilet refurbishment project, a project that is potentially of a higher value? And subsequent question, did all councillors see a quote from Healthmatic before appointing them? Flat and unfinished.
Right, approach those.
I can give you an update on what I am able to, or I'm conscious that the public participating session is only 20 minutes. So what I can do is I've got a list of the questions. I can respond directly to Paula, and I can put them in the minutes.
If possible, because some of them are quite straightforward, I'd like a response this evening, please.
Just to say that there'll be no responses on the wildflower meadow this evening. It's not an item that we'll be discussing. It's an item we're still waiting for further information to be gained.
But it's on the agenda.
The wildflower meadow is not on the agenda for discussion tonight.
It's on the agenda for car park. If you look at
There is two options for consideration for the car.
item 10.
There are two options for consideration in the car park around how we will be approaching it, whether it will be a council-run project or whether it will be run by the men's shed. That is the only scope of that item on the agenda. There is nothing about the wildflower tonight.
There is a sketch plan that shows the wildflower meadow would be tarmac.
Yeah, indeed, but there's further information to be gained, and I agree with the clerk that we will come back to you when that information has been gained.
Okay. Can it be noted that I'm unhappy with those replies because I've come to a meeting to engage with you as a member of the public in the public engagement session?
Absolutely, and we will look forward to engaging with you on that item once we have the full information available to us. But we will absolutely love all of your questions and we'll respond to you in full, we promise. Is there any of those questions that we can answer tonight?
I can say to members of the public and the council that the budget for the car park is £50,000. I can explain that a member of the ID Verdi team carried out an inspection of the wildflower patch, not on the agenda tonight, but again, I'm happy to circulate that information. And I'll put all of the rest in writing, and I'll put it also in the minutes.
Thank you. Yes.
Trevor Mitchell, 3 Castle Lane. We won't cover the other items that we covered by Paula, but briefly, lighting with regard to the car parking issues. Please let's not have high-rise lighting up the light sky. It is a conservation area, and for those local who like to go down there at night and just look at that night sky. Low-level bollards, absolutely fine, but 90-degree bollards facing inwards, that's all we need to light up to knee level, no more than that. Wildflower meadow certainly retain the residents behind the hedge and fence line down there require access from their gardens, because one in particular cannot get through their front door in the event of an emergency. They have to go through their garden, so that strip down there needs to be retained. If that is bulldozed down for extra parking, there'll only be 2 extra car parking spaces in effect, and the extra cost of that doesn't justify the additional car parking spaces. So it's frankly a no-brainer, in my view, to increase the car parking spaces down there. Surface for the car park is proposed to have tarmac and gravel. Put your minds into the Wilton Shopping Village big car park area there, which is a mix of both. It doesn't take long before the gravel spreads onto the tarmac. So either one or the other, ideally. If it's all gravel, then we've experienced footballers doing donuts around there in the winter months, spraying gravel all over the place and onto the car park. But you might consider another form of tarmacking, which is a beige colour or even resin, which would look much more attractive in keeping with the conservation area rather than having matte black all over the place, which is pretty unsightly. You might consider, there are suggestions in the plan for consideration referring to long strip bollards to prevent cars moving forward from their parking spots. There are a lot of used telegraph poles, which the telecommunication services have, having been replaced them in the area recently. You could use those as a stopgap, as a preventative for preventing cars from getting onto the grassed area or onto the wildflower meadow itself. Much cheaper option, half buried down into the ground is a consideration, which could save a small amount of money. That's all I have this moment, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Batchelder. There's a lot of good comments there, and we've captured all of those. So we'll make a really important consideration with regards to that when it is discussed in the future. Is there any of those questions that we can answer tonight?
No, because the design hasn't been considered by the council yet, and it's not being considered tonight either.
So we'll make sure those are included.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Chris Boots. I'm here representing the men's shed, and my colleague Andrew Goff is joining us here as well to represent the men's shed. So the first thing I'd like to say is we'd like to express a preference for option 2, which is the council getting a tractor in, but there is a condition, and that is it possible to get those containers done by July? We'd really like to see the containers in place by July. Couple of questions. Clarification on the maintaining 600mm gap between the containers. I suspect that's now not the case, is it? Because that would add another 1.6 metres onto the row of containers. Just couldn't get the containers in there between the existing shed and the water pump that's there. So that's, and besides which, there's other discussion about 450mm pad being shared between 2 containers. If the containers are 600mm apart, that's not going to work, is it? So I'm assuming that's off the agenda. I was looking for some clarification on the 450mm pads that would be shared by 2 containers. With the question that presumably the slab is going to be used where it can, and the pads are just for the additional foundations beyond the limits of the slab. Is that right? So that's one question. And the other question is about the pads. We do have concerns about the pads. They would apply a point load to the subformation rather than a slab, which would provide a much wider spread load. And we've got concerns about a differential settlement of the containers that would be placed on the pads. So I'd really like to ask whether those risks have been assessed and what measures have been taken to prevent those particular risks. Another question about the floor height of the containers. There was some suggestion that the floor height was going to be raised to the level of the men's shed and the pavilion, which was raising the containers by 12 to 18 inches, which means your 450mm pads are becoming pillars. So again, a question about clarification on that would be gratefully received. And the other question is the risings. There is no way those risings from the compound area could be accommodated within the compound area if we are to avoid drainage issues. And I don't think there's anywhere outside around the car park area that would accommodate those risings either. And I would like to see them going on with a wildflower area. So I'm going to recommend that the budget be increased to take those risings off site and legally dispose of those risings environmentally elsewhere, because they cannot be accommodated on site without causing flooding issues, drainage issues, compromising the flood capacity of the meadow, etc., etc. Certainly would be possible to place them under the containers, which I saw somewhere in the report. And then the other question which we've got is lease arrangements. There's mention of lease arrangements being discussed and agreed for the men's shed container. So just really asking, where are we with that at the moment? And then my final question, for the benefit of Paula and Trevor and us, is can we have agenda item number 10 moved up the agenda so that we could, because there's a lot of people interested in that agenda item. I thought maybe if that's possible, we could get away a bit earlier. So those are my questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, so there's a number of technical questions there, which are going to be pertaining to the decision that's made on where what approach is taken, as whether the men should take the work on or whether it's run by the council. So I think some of those questions are not going to be able to be answered here now, and are going to be more appropriately answered once that route has been decided. And if it is going to be either the men shed or it's going to be a third party that's doing it, those are all very relevant questions that will need to be put to that entity, whichever one it may be. But of the questions that we could answer.
So the lease arrangements work backwards, that's all in hand. And I think it's probably appropriate that once we've got the information and we are at a point where the heads of terms are drafted, that we bring in the men's shed representatives to make sure everything's aligned at an early stage. And just building on what Councillor Harrison has said, the key is getting the decision made in terms of the direction of travel for this council, appointing the men's shed or the contractor. Once we've got that decision in place, then we will work up that more detailed scope of works and take advice from the contractors as well. So again, I think it's a collective next step so that everything is done in collaboration.
In answer to your question on bringing agenda item 10 forward, I'm happy to do that, and I'll address that when I get to the start of the meeting. I'll probably bring it forward onto one of the early agenda items that we've got ahead of these civic updates from the councillors and also from Councillor Church.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions in the room?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. More mundane question and point. I have a daughter who lives in Northumberland and she likes to keep in touch with Wilton, and she would like to compliment whoever does the website pages on the Facebook page because it keeps her in touch and she's seen a great improvement in communication.
Thank you.
In the same communication line, some years ago, there was a two-fold A4 piece of paper, which was the sort of mayor's report that went to every house in Wilton. I know that was a complicated thing to do. I don't know if there's any view. I know that a lot of people probably use the Facebook page. Thank you. You've answered my question.
They're going up this week and next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments on the website.
Thank you. What's his name?
Thank you for your comments on the website. Yes, you'll realise that we've your comments on the social media engagement. We've obviously done quite a lot of work as a council recently to try and improve that engagement, and I'm glad it's landing well. Also to mention that the website has just recently been refreshed. There's a brand new website that was launched 2 weeks ago now, which again would very much value your feedback when you go and use it. It's markedly different from the previous version, and I hope you will agree with us that we believe it's a significant improvement. And yes, to your point around communication, all houses or homes in Wilton will be receiving one of these, which details, well, there's a lot of detail in here about Wilton's plan and our plans for Wilton as we move forward. Did we cover everything? I didn't cover everything fast. Great, thank you. Any other questions in the room? Okay, any questions online? Anyone on Teams that wants to raise any questions?
Yeah. It's not clear.
No questions. All right, thank you. And that then concludes community engagement or participation. So we start the meeting then at 19:26. So first of all, apologies. We do have some apologies.
We have apologies from councillors Alexander, Edge and Forbes.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, it's not our policy to or our approach to resolve on those, but we will just note them. Any declarations of interest or request for dispensation? No. The minutes of agenda item 3 is the minutes of the full council meeting held on the 10th of March. Just for, obviously this was in members bundles, just for your reference, there are a couple of non-material changes to the attendees and the number sequencing. Other than that, there is no material changes to those minutes that I am aware of, unless anyone else has anything they want to raise. So could I have a proposer to accept those minutes? Councillor Ditton, seconder. Councillor Matthews, all in favour? All in favour? Unanimous, thank you. So agenda item 4, so civic reports. So just a report for myself. So I opened the inaugural Wilton Village Market event that happened at the formerly called the Village, or Wilton Village, on the 15th of March. So this was a new monthly market, which is running on a trial basis for up until June, I believe. I must say it was a great community event. We had a stand there as a council all day to try and make sure that we could be available to the public. But more importantly than that, there was a lot of local businesses there that were selling their goods, and it was a very good event for Wilton, I must say. And we're looking to continue to support that as much as we can. We've also been asked to go back there in June, which we intend to do, and we will have we're hoping to have a very similar setup to what we had at the last event. So we'd encourage members of the public to come down and see us when we are there. And then also, I just want to mention that we will be I intend to be at Wilton Carnival as well on the 4th of July. So we're liaising with the Carnival team around having a stand there. And then, like I said, with regards to, just for everyone's diary, with regards to the Wilton Village Market, we're looking at either the 13th or the 14th of June to be confirmed, but it will be that Saturday or Sunday that we will be attending there. Is there any other members that wish to update on any civic or community events? No? Okay, so if I then go on to Wiltshire Council reports and ask Councillor Church and provide an update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. And I just want to say well done on the website. I popped into it earlier today. God, this looks really refreshed and clean and modern. It looked fab. Your social media stuff is great. You're getting there before I'm even getting stuff out there, which is, I know, fabulous news. And a strategic plan is a really good idea. It just, knows the direction this council is going. So congratulations with that. So to go to my report, Wilton Fire Station. So further to my update last month regarding the risk of Wilton Fire Station closing, please respond to the consultation conducted by Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service. We've got until Friday the 15th of May to do this. John Glenn MP and I attended the public meeting at Castle Meadow this week with fellow town councillors. There are a couple I know from there. John has a meeting with the Minister this week to ask for the Rural Services Grant, which is predicated on new housing numbers, to be recalculated based on reality. So the higher the predicted housing numbers, the higher the precept. But in practice, we know this is not the case, and the Rural Services Grant is based on this assumption. As the decision to close Wilton is purely financial based, we must find ways to improve funding levels and prevent Wilton closing or risk lives, not only for Wilton, but for Salisbury, as we back up Salisbury Station and the surrounding villages. So a reminder once again to please respond to the consultation. You'll find it on the Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service website. My next item relates to increase in car parking charges. So as per the Wiltshire Council budget in February, the council are currently consulting on changes to car parking charges, which will potentially have a detrimental impact on Salisbury in particular. Salisbury, as you know, has the highest parking rate in the county. The proposed changes are an average 20% increase in charges, extended parking charging hours to 7 AM to 7 PM. It's currently 8 AM to 6 PM, aligning Sunday charges with the weekday tariff. At the moment, as you know, it's currently £1.90 all day to park in Salisbury, and Wiltshire Council are suggesting that the weekday tariff is applied on Sundays, which would mean, for example, £5.90 for 3 hours in Salt Lane. And they're also thinking of reintroducing on-street Sunday charging in Salisbury. So I voted against this in the budget as it's bad for the high street, for shoppers, for our local nighttime economy, early and late workers, on low wages in particular, and worshippers on Sundays. Have your say by responding to the consultation. Now, it's not been made easy, unfortunately, and you can either do it by a variety of means, email, by post or online, but I will post more on this. I did put a post up this week about it, but I will also now detail how you can make your feelings known on my social media, because they're just not made easy. You have to open an account to do it online, and it's all such a kerfuffle. But this isn't going to be great. So please do have your say. And then there's my concern about retail in Salisbury, but it's good to see that Wilton is flourishing. Happy Barrow have acquired their new premises on South Street. They've refurbished it and created a beautiful gift shop. And the Wilton Village hosting a monthly artisan and craft market is great news for Wilton. And also I hear that Reeve the Baker is extending its Wilton opening hours. So I know, hurrah, an early croissant for us all. So we must never be complacent though. With 14 to 18 West Street now being empty, we need to encourage more businesses to join our marvellous town. And I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
For as long as I've been attending council meetings, we've always heard about speeding on the avenue.
Yeah.
And the police go and regularly catch people, and they're referred to for driving fine. Is there not something that could be done in terms of traffic calming, with Wiltshire working maybe with the town council or design of the road, because it doesn't seem to be working what's been done at the moment?
So the interesting thing, and I've consulted with our highways engineers about what we can do there. Certainly, what we're finding is this, to put sort of they still call them sleeping policemen. I don't know. Don't they? I always think that's not the right term. But across the road, yes, speed humps. The traffic's going too fast. So the problem is currently the traffic, and it's a very straight road. So as traffic comes downhill in particular, there is a risk that it might cause an accident if there's some obstructions in the road because of the actual speed of the road and the traffic at the moment. As you know, we've done a number of things. We've put the gates up. We've got the SID in operation. We took regular police enforcement. There could be some way of doing additional signing, which I'm talking to our highways engineers about, to just pre-warn people further up that there's actually a roundabout there, because sometimes that comes across quite quickly for some. But there have been no, putting a chicane in could be another option. So yeah, I mean, the thing for me is that Wiltshire Council shouldn't spend money unless there's evidence to suggest that that money is taxpayers' money could be spent well. And my argument with the avenue is it is the road in Wiltshire with the highest number of police speed tickets issued in the county. So that's the evidence that tells you that the money should be spent on this road. And it's something I nudge them about every now and then. So no, a good point. I will do it again.
Where's speed camera?
So there aren't any speed cameras in Wiltshire, no fixed speed cameras in Wiltshire. I think they went about, I don't know, 15 or more years ago. I'm in favour of speed cameras, but they do deploy mobile ones, so that would be the other option. But no, there's no fixed one in Wiltshire.
It's also applied going up the avenue just as much as down.
Yeah, it's both ways. They get them both ways.
The problem with having speed bumps and so on is put people down. I'm guilty because I live on the avenue. Is that there's a noise when they bump a brick or whatever. So if that could be taken.
No, absolutely. I've had experience of this in Wilton Hill, where part of the design of the road layout there was to have sort of like a brick sort of speed hump across the road. And I was lobbied by those houses nearby to have them lowered because of the noise that it creates. So yeah, that lots of people don't like them. Yeah, and I managed to get them lowered, and they're only about that high now. It's just a slight little rumble as you go over.
Yeah, one quick question. The traffic lights in Wilton, there are increasing numbers of drivers crashing those lights, and I witnessed only 2 days ago a very
The ones here.
a T-boning event, which was very close, which had caused a major incident.
Yeah.
Is there any possibly for consideration in the future whether temporary cameras can be put up there, suitably noted that the cameras are enforced, to try and reduce the number of accidents or potential number of accidents taking place?
Yeah, so there's two things happening. There is a current scheme to improve the traffic lights on four corners. So Wiltshire Council have some government funding. I've put my request to get these up there due an upgrade because they're so old. So that's one thing. That's to improve the sequencing here. I see people in my shop jumping the lights all the time, beeping horns, pedestrians at risk because of course they cross the road where they think it's safe to, but someone else is jumping the lights. So that's the priority, to get that safe. And I do agree with you that it's the turning of large vehicles that causes a problem, to the degree that I've asked for 2 bollards, which took me 3 years to get. Bear in mind, I don't get pushed up the list because I'm a councillor, but because my shop was being hit. So all the buildings and the infrastructure in that area is potentially does get damaged. The other thing I'm doing is putting us on a list for AMPR cameras in North Street for those that come down North Street the wrong way. Okay, so people, when they see a queue on the A36, thinks that they can slip down here and then come this way. So there's the two kind of traffic light or camera related things. But I do get it. I think I would like cameras on there to stop people jumping the lights, for one thing. I have a concern about pedestrian safety, particularly lorries mounting the pavement outside the shops along here as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you, Pauline. And as John Vance noticing the Minister of London about the fire station, that's good news. And only last week there was a thatched fire at Broadshaw, and Wilton Fire Brigade had to go and stand by in Salisbury while they sort it out. So it's important that we keep that fire station going. And with regards to increased charges in Salisbury on Sundays, the churches are up in arms on that one.
I'm not surprised.
Thank you.
Can I just point out that every day I tend to take my dog along the bowling green and up the avenue there, and practically every single day you have traffic that's going round the roundabout that are being cut into by people not sticking to their proper lane, by actually having white lines to
direct them.
yes, direct them, because sometimes people coming from along the A36 alongside the bowling green tend to cut in, and then people coming from every other direction get almost hit. It's so frequent there that everybody's in a hurry and they don't think of other persons.
Yeah, no, good point. And I will put a request out to National Highways because they maintain that roundabout. There isn't much room, is there, in that roundabout on a circle? So I do wonder whether they purposefully not lined it so that big vehicles can almost take up more space. I don't know, but I can certainly go out to the southern area rep at National Highways and see what I can do. I'll put that question out to him. Yeah, let you know.
Hi, Pauline.
Hi, Charlie.
It's more of getting something off my chest rather than a question.
Please
So
do,
I
that's my
don't
job.
necessarily expect an answer. But agenda item 11.1c about the gully emptying.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've seen my husband's report, but just for everybody, the crew were brilliant, and the guys absolutely fantastic, enthusiastic, attentive, communications, brilliant. The frustrating element is that they're not allowed to fill up with water well, they have a list of places where they are allowed to fill up with water. And absent from that list is our fire station and the highways depot of the avenue. So on this occasion, what happened was they're out of water. They had to go for water. They spent 1 hour trying to get into the depot because they were sitting in the queue at the household recycling centre. So it frustrating, taxpayers paying for that. They could have taken 5 minutes to get water and come back and cleared another couple of gullies in theory. So it would seem that nobody at Trowbridge has thought or looked at a map and thought, where else can this tanker fill up and make the whole process more efficient? So if you have any influence in that regard.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, I will certainly put it out there. I don't know why they don't carry or they have the facility at the depot. It seemed the obvious place. The fire station you would think is the obvious place, but it's not our service. It would be something that we would need to arrange with them. But no, I agreed. Once you get stuck in that queue at the HRC, you know, you can't even turn around. I mean, people can't get into their businesses. So yeah, no, I will. I'll ask.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have seen 5 engines actually fill up in Wilton Hill. 5 flats at the bottom.
Is there a fire hydrant there?
Yeah.
Okay.
There were 5, yeah, but actually fill up there.
Okay.
Engines there.
Okay.
They quite often block the road.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone stand?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
So is there any other reports, members or representatives? Or any local organisation reports? No, okay. So we will note all of those reports. Don't think there's any actions for us on that. Fine, so agenda item 5 would have been the to approve financial report and approve payment, or receive financial reports and approve payments. I am going to bring agenda item number 10, which is to consider the progress report with the William compound car park project. We can consider recommendations and presented.
I mean, I'm happy if you want to invite.
Distance just.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I'll make a note of that. Did you want to invite Councillor Emily? She's on the working group.
I will do. So I will move that item to now. Just to, it's been a little, as we've already talked about during the community engagement, there seems to have been some question potentially around what this item is, but just to be really, really crystal clear. This item is to address basically 2 recommendations, which is to agree the approach with the direction that we'll be taking as to how we handle the undertaking the works in the compound, and then also agreeing or considering the baseline tender approach. Bear in mind, there are no, just be absolutely crystal clear, there will be no decisions tonight made on how we are going to address the car park or in terms of material elements, so how we're going to address the car park or the mention is about the direction of travel. There will be future meetings where some of the more specific detail that has been mentioned tonight will be covered, and there will be ensure that there is all of the items that have been raised this evening are incorporated within that, and that there is further discussion had. I just don't want to mislead anyone around what it is that we're going to cover tonight. Because I don't want anyone to leave here disappointed. So if we, nicely timed, if we move on then to item number 10, and I invite either Councillor Lambert or Councillor Femina to provide an update as the lead councillors for this item.
Want to go first and I'll go after?
You carry on.
I don't really know where to start. I'm a bit confused, if I'm honest. We've got quite a few pages here writing about the potential proposals for the car park, and I think we've got 4 drawings. I was the lead councillor, but I wasn't involved in the design stage. I went to the first meeting and there was 4 designs.
Councillor Femina, can I just interrupt? Sorry, can I just remind you that the recommendation here is to agree the direction and whether or not we are going to be proceeding with the membership and taking work or the council. So I don't want to recover all of the background information because members will have seen that.
But they haven't, because they weren't on. There's
So,
two members.
I just wanted to make sure we stick to the brief of what this recommendation is, if you don't mind. So,
Right, I don't really understand what the brief is because
Well,
we've got to go out to tender. Is that right? We've got to go to tender next.
Maria, it's nothing to do with that. The item of the agenda is to decide which way we are going to approach big men's shed and car park. That's it. Do we go through option one, which is the men's shed undertakes the enabling works for the men's shed, or do we go for option two? The council appoints a contractor for the full scope of the work, both for the men's shed and the car park.
what we'd like to hear is your views on that.
I thought we voted in the last meeting that it was going to be a council-led project for both items. That's what I thought we'd agreed.
No, so this item is to agree whether or not the men's shed undertakes the enabling works, or the council appoints a contractor for the full scope and the council takes ownership of that scope. So what I'm asking for is for you, as one of the lead councillors or Councillor Blandford Hole, to give us what your recommendation is on that approach, or either of those approaches.
Well, my preference would be to go option two.
I would second that.
Okay,
And that's what the.
and that's what the recommendation is, but is there anything that you want to add around?
Well, there's a lot of detail written on the agenda, so we're not agreeing any of that. We're not agreeing the scope of works. We're not agreeing where we go from here. I really wanted to ask the clerk where we go from here with the tenders.
Yeah.
I mean, are we not deciding anything tonight then?
We're deciding the approach that we're taking as to whether or not it's the men's shed that undertakes the work, or whether or not we appoint a third party to do it under the control of the council,
Okay.
as opposed to the men's shed, because previously we discussed the men's shed as a tenant undertaking that work. It's very clear, I think, within the agenda as to what we're being asked for here.
No, that's the question.
Of course,
What would be the benefit of option two over option one, in anyone's opinion? Obviously, men's shed would prefer option two, but why do we think?
Well, basically, it limits liabilities.
Yeah.
And with the men's shed, you've got no liability.
Yeah.
With council work, we've got liability.
It's clear, isn't it? It's just one person responsible for the whole job.
Mhm.
There's no sort of subcontractor. And then you don't get that.
There will be a subcontractor because we.
But we will be employing that
Yeah.
sort of thing. We will be responsible.
any further comments or questions that members like to make about this direction of travel, about whether it's option one or option two? Because we have.
I would like to urge people to go for option two because of the health and safety and everything what comes with it. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we've got a proposal almost. If you're happy to go with that, Councillor Bamford, so we've got a proposer for option two. So we've got a seconder in Councillor Matthews. All in favour? All in favour. Option two is carried. On to the second part of this item, which was members are asked to consider the baseline tender and approve its contents, noting the council will work with selected contractor to develop the detailed design and all subsequent scope and cost decisions subject to further council approval. So again, none of the scope is going to be defined or agreed here tonight. It's the process that we are approving. So I ask either again, Councillor Femina, Councillor Blandford Hole, did you want to make any comments around?
No, this is basically setting out how we're going to achieve the end product.
Yeah.
That's all we're doing at the moment. We've got no design issues.
Yeah.
In this stage.
Under the Procurement Act, and it says in appendix in our own financial regs, it says about the clerk should employ someone to write a specification. Any invitation to tender shall state the general nature of the intended contract. Town clerk should obtain necessary technical assistance to prepare a specification in appropriate cases. And because this is a very expensive project, we've got 4 drawings, very different drawings. And I don't see how we're going to get competitive tenders. The Procurement Act says that you have to try and make it fair so that small businesses, you know, 3 or 4 men jobs, can equally quote as well, put in a tender as well as a large business. So I'm a bit confused how a very small business could write a specific, they would have time, you know, or staffing numbers to write a specification for us. I'm also concerned that they'll all come back at different results. Like one may say we need, I said it's in scope of works 40 millimetres tarmac, and then or to 80 millimetres tarmac. And if they all come back with a different opinion, we can't compare, you know, the different tenders. Also, should we be looking at permeable tarmac and standard tarmac? I know one's more expensive than the other, and asking these companies to quote for both of them, both permeable and standard.
So sorry, can I just drill you down a little bit? So do you recommend the baseline tender and improve its contents as it stands? Is that what you're recommending?
No, I'm not.
You don't. On what grounds are you not recommending it?
Well, I think it's breaking the Procurement Act 2023, and it's breaking our financial records, our financial rules, because
should this not have been addressed during the committee process that you lead?
Well, Gary and I did disagree because he worked for a really big business.
I just completely disagree with where you're going with this.
And I worked for putting in small grants to Wiltshire Council. So I worked with small businesses who wouldn't have their own hydrologist, ecologist, anything else. You know, they wouldn't have their specialists.
But this item is surely on this agenda because the committee has agreed via the clerk that it goes on as it appears.
No, because Gary and I didn't agree. It's the 2 of us.
So just
goes back to committee then.
So just to clarify then, so on what grounds are you not agreeing to this?
Well, I'm concerned that they doesn't meet our financial rules.
And are you able to cite any evidence to support that claim?
Yes, it says the public contract regulated by the Procurement Act and any superseding legislation with an estimated value in excess of 30,000, which the car park would be because you said it's 50.
The budget.
Yes, the budget's 50, so we assume it's going to be much more than 30,000. Shall be let in line with the council's financial regulations, and the regulations are what I said, that we should have a specification so that the 3 companies are giving identical prices to us.
Well, excuse me, Maria, but we haven't got that far yet. We're still deciding how we're going to approach this. We haven't made any decisions on design or layouts or anything.
So what is the next stage? Can I ask the clerk, what's the next stage? How do we tender it? Or we're not doing that yet?
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah.
So what you're being asked to consider tonight is the baseline tender. So the core information that relates to the scope of works. So in principle, as a council, we want to achieve this. Then each contractor is invited to submit their tender on the baseline information, the core basics. And they're also then asked if they want to make any further recommendations to enhance the scheme. Each contractor will be invited to a site visit where they can understand the site, they can understand its layout, and they can then make any further recommendations as the subject matter experts. None of us are car park designers, but we have taken advice from a gentleman who lives in Dorset who has just built his own public car park, and that's where the scope of works has come from, is his advice and his guidance that he has given to us free of charge.
So I'm not in agreement. We have 4 drawings, and the one from the architect that you've mentioned, he has put all the parking over the wildflower meadow. He's enlarged the car park, made the entranceway 2 lanes of traffic, which I don't think helps when you get to the gate. There's lots of things with that.
That's all been well, but with respect, we are not discussing that tonight.
Well, can I just make a proposal that that's removed, that drawing?
We're not, this is about the approach. This is what we're trying to agree tonight, the approach that we're taking, not any detailed designs.
Just saying it's confusing.
Well, I would ask that we readdress that at the point at which we are going through those designs. We're not talking designs tonight. It was included at the request of members, information only. Councillor Litton.
Looking at the tender pack attachment,
it states what the contractors would be doing, and it's got a split of their quote for each individual thing in phase 1 and each individual thing in phase 2. Any size company would be able to make a quote and put the numbers in there, because that's how they'd work it out anyway.
Yeah.
So I propose that we go forward with it based on the fact that if I had that in front of me with the relevant things, I would be able to quote.
Okay, in the interest of time, I'm going to take that as a proposal. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Willock, all in favour? All, is it against, Councillor Fenner, or abstain?
I'm against.
You're against, okay, so
I'm not quite sure, to be honest, so can I abstain?
you can absolutely abstain. So one abstention, one against, that motion is carried. Thank you. On to agenda item. And by the way, sorry, members of the public, I know some of you waited just for that item is now concluded, so you are free to leave if you would. Agenda item number 5. To receive financial reports. So, I'm not going to go through the entire detailed financial reports. So I'm going to, good evening. I assume that you've all read your bundles. So please kind of, is there any questions around the finances that you wish to raise that haven't already been raised to the clerk outside of this meeting?
I move we accept this report.
Great. Okay, so we'll receive and note the bank reconciliation, year-to-date receipts, payment versus budget, and list of payments, and we'll accept that any queries have already been raised. So we now move to resolve and approve the payments to the value of £36,902.67. That payment list was provided to you. Is that you're happy to propose? So I've got a proposal from Councillor Matthews to approve those payments. Seconded from Councillor Blackman. All in favour? All in favour. Item to recommendation number 3, approve the specific payment of £5,163 plus VAT to Birthday and Garrett. That invoice was again included in your bundles. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Ditton, the seconder. Councillor Matthews, all in favour? All in favour. Thank you. On to agenda item number 6. So this is to consider and comment on planning applications. So there was a planning application for Wilton House Adventure Playground in Minster Street. And there was because of the timing of this particular application, the clerks circulated a poll to councillors in case there was a view as to whether there would be an object to this. I just want to ask, has anyone's views changed from that poll that was submitted that all councillors responded to? So on that basis, I propose that we accept this application. We support this application. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Boyd, all in favour? All in favour. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 7, to consider a contract review with the grounds maintenance company. So again, I want to assume that you've read all of your paperwork on this. But we are looking ultimately to approve the amendments that have been suggested and the service level changes set out in the report and delegate management of this to the town clerk. So any questions?
Just one. Are we now happy with how they're progressing as a company with the work we're asking them to do? Yeah, the current contractor.
They've made a considerable step change. But they remain under close scrutiny.
Okay. Is there a contract renewal now?
The contract renewal is in April 27.
Okay, so
we'll be going out to full tender, probably about August, September time.
Okay. Perfect.
Can I just ask about cut and collect? Great idea, because it does stop the grass growing quicker by removing it. I just want to clarify that doesn't include the wildflower meadow, not at the beginning of the season, because obviously that's when now when the spring flowers are coming out.
Because I just checked that it's still, would they be able to add a bespoke cut for the wildflower meadow? Because it's supposed to be cut in the autumn, but it could be cut in mid-July as well, which would benefit it. Which one's that?
Yes, please.
So that's already scheduled in every September.
Right, okay. And we could maybe look at a bespoke cut, maybe different part of it, okay, in summer. Thank you.
Any other questions? No, do a proposer.
Yeah. What proposer?
Proposer, we
Yeah.
approve it. Yeah, is that a seconder as well from
Second.
councillor Boyd? All in favour? All in favour, great. So, and then the next part of this recommendation is to note the proposed enhancement works to Bulbridge Park and delegate authority to the town clerk to seek quotations with costs and proposals to present to council for consideration and approval at a future meeting. So I think the question here is whether or not we want to go ahead and seek quotations for the works at Bulbridge Park. Any happy to do that?
Yeah, I'd like to propose it.
Yeah, so I've got a proposal from councillor Wood.
Can I just make one comment on the flower tubs? Could we make sure we have, didn't my biodiversity hat on again, we have some bee-friendly flowers in there, not all double flowers, face flowers, in the planting tubs, please. Does that have to be an amendment or?
Yes, please.
When we get the proposals back, then we can certainly mention that. But again, the council will need to consider all the costs. At this stage, it's going out to just understand what that cost could look like.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so back to the proposal from councillor Wood. A seconder, please. Councillor Blackman, all in favour? All in favour. Thank you. Agenda item number 8, so to receive and note the clay inspection database and associated actions. So I'm assuming that you've all had a chance to review this. Are there any residual questions that haven't already been raised?
Just wanted to say how lovely it was to go through the spreadsheet and just click and find things.
Oh, good.
But yeah, that was it.
Anything else? No? So in that case, I will propose that the council resolves to note this report and associated actions arising from monthly inspections and ratify the costs associated with rectifying the defect of the cross beam at £412.10 plus VAT and new bins at £1,345.16. Do I have a second? Councillor Lefevre, all in favour? All in favour, thank you. Agenda item number 9, to consider the progress report from the public WC project. Consider the recommendations as presented. I'm going to stop speaking for a moment and hand over to Councillor Blackman or Councillor Lambert to take over this.
I hope everybody's read the stuff. We're happy to answer any questions if there are any, but we don't have anything to add, do we? Our next meeting of this group is tomorrow.
Sure.
So things will progress then. And also a date for your diary is the likely necessary extraordinary meeting on 27th of April. Please, where we intend to have details to discuss with council and make some decisions then.
Can I ask, some time ago, there was talk of going to the land registry. A long time ago now, did this ever happen? I think at the time it said there was about 12 months waiting list to get an answer from the land registry, because it's all tied up with Wiltshire Council as part of this, don't they?
We haven't.
The lease has been sorted, I think.
Yeah. We have the lease. We lease them basically because they still own, but the lease permits renovation as long as the use is maintained. So we're not claiming to own the land or. I wonder if you're thinking of the space at the front of the health centre. Perhaps that was more complicated. Maybe, yeah.
During the discussion on the toilets, when this come up about the land registry, that's what I can remember now.
Was that the public meeting held maybe a year or two ago?
A long time ago, yeah.
Can you
Yeah, I'll look at that.
Yeah, so we'll take that one and have a look at it.
Just a quick one.
Yes, please.
On the actual work, I see on the, am I allowed to talk about the work that's going on?
Yes.
It's stripping out of the electrics, it says, and rewiring everything. I mean, I'm comparing that to the men's shed and the council liability thing. I think if there's a problem with Healthmatics electrics and, you know, the hand dryers stop working, and will there be a problem? Who's responsible? Is it, it's sort of so the council will get electrician to do the rewiring and repair of the electrics? That's what it said, it's somewhere in here. Yeah. And then Healthmatic will fit all the stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, well, they will have 12-month liability to come back and fix any problems.
So it won't be our company, our electric company.
Might also,
But they will, with the electrical company, we are suggesting will be working for Healthmatic as a subcontractor, and the Healthmatic will then be responsible for checking their work.
Just wanted to clarify.
if I can just provide some more clarification. So Healthmatic are the contracted lead principal contractor. So they are owning and managing the project. They will then subcontract out the electrics, the building works, and because the building work is going to be a huge part of the budget, that's where that's going to tender. So that will be brought back to council to consider the three options, and Healthmatic will be involved in that tendering process because they are the subject matter experts. So they will be able to guide the council in terms of their recommendation for a builder based on the credentials of the company, their experience and the cost.
There aren't any actual decisions required regarding toilets tonight, so if that's it for questions.
Is that a question? Yeah. Okay, well, we'll move on. Thank you very much. So, agenda item, we've done agenda item number 10, so we'll go on to agenda item number 11, which is the clerk's report. So, at this point, I'll hand over to the clerk to provide the
So the first item, planning application is straightforward. Again, that's really just to note. Facilities report, you'll be aware as a council that there were some considerable outstanding health and safety matters in the autumn of last year, but I can now confirm that all of the council buildings are now fully compliant with fire, Legionella, electrical, structural and governance regulations. The database is included as a link within your papers. So there's been quite a huge step change there. And Councillor Blackman alluded earlier to the discretionary gully clearance service. I think it's got to be noted that Pete Blackman, who is the chair of the committee, has done an outstanding job with working in collaboration with Wiltshire Council and particularly the operatives that were on site for those services back last month. So a lot of positive outcomes, and if you haven't read the report, I would urge you to do so because it's very interesting reading. Cemetery roof works are now all complete. Council offices, you'll be able
just a minute on cemetery roof. See what you said, sir, about the gable and the brickworks were loose and everything.
Yeah.
But about 10, 12 years ago, I got Gary Hazard to do that flashing. And in my opinion, it didn't work. And it looks so it's not working now. So it's something we need to keep an eye on.
We do, but they've made a fix and they've fixed it as best they can.
Best they can.
Yeah.
One of our services in the chapel works going before the service and paint the stain on the chimney breast. But it resolved with the service, but didn't last long.
I guess the good thing is that it's all now confirmed as watertight and weatherproof. Yeah. Yeah. And then the other update is we're starting to look at the feasibility work associated with the council offices. You'll be aware that there's been many years where the maintenance hasn't been as good as it should have been. So we absolutely need to look at bringing back some information to council in terms of understanding what the condition report is telling us and how that then potentially links into wider work. You know, what is it that the council wants to deliver for its council offices? And so there's quite a lot of work involved in preparing the feasibility information to bring to you. I think the intention is, certainly from what's in the report here, is to move away from just getting odd jobs done here and there. And we need to look at it as a whole building in terms of what do we want that building to look like in years to come. We have a responsibility to make sure that it's fit for the future and that it's sustainable for the future. Any questions on that? Delegated spend, over to you, Chris.
Yes, you looking for resolution?
Yeah, you just have to ratify the items that are
Yes.
under
Okay.
delegated spend.
So, all good. So in terms of the delegated decisions, I think it's all fairly straightforward. Again, this has been supplied to members ahead of time. Any questions on these? Any of these items that have been raised? Or include this, right? In that case, can I have a proposer that we ratify, we receive and ratify those? Councillor Ditton, seconder, Councillor Willock, all in favour? That's all in favour, thank you. So other matters to resolve, so tree risk assessment. So councillors consider the recommendations of the arborist report and note that, so just for everyone's benefits, there was a report done on the Christmas tree, as we know it, in the Market Square, just adjacent to the Market Square, to see what we've done to enhance its appearance. And we've obviously sought professional advice, and that advice has come back to state that it is neither feasible nor appropriate for this species to be, I suppose,
chopped.
Yes, cut or changed to that effect. So therefore, the only residual item from that report is to address the cherry tree, which is assessed as low risk but is recommended for felling and replacement due to the structural defects, poor form and limited aesthetic value. So we are asked to, whilst the western cedar tree presents a low risk, reshaping the tree to enhance its appearance as a Christmas tree is neither feasible nor appropriate, so we're asked to accept that. And we're also then asked, do we want to see quotes on the removal of the cherry tree, noting that we would need to submit a notification to Wiltshire Council as this tree is in the conservation area. The board.
I know it says, you know, that it should be felled. I for one find it quite nice when, especially when the lights are around it in the winter, it adds to the atmosphere. So I'm not sure whether, of course, that was an expert who said that, but
May I respond to that?
Please, yeah.
I agree with you, Councillor Boyd. It's a pretty one when they wrap the lights around the trunk, don't they? It's that one, isn't it? When they wrap the yeah, I agree with you. That looks really pretty. But the thing of it is the arborist, is it? Yeah. Says that it's, you know, it's a poor specimen. It's not very healthy, and it's, you know. So I'm just wondering, yeah, if we take that out and maybe plant something new for future generations, and also in the hope that our Christmas lights project team will be coming up with some new creative ideas anyway, so might not miss the cherry tree too much. That would be my view.
thank you. Thank you.
Any other good views?
I propose we agree to the recommendation.
Okay.
I'll second.
So, okay, so we've got those. Okay, so in that case,
Those on blocks.
so would be
sorry.
that would be to accept the arborist report around the western red cedar and also seek quotes for the removal of the cherry tree. So we've got proposed, got a seconder, all in favour? That's all in favour. The next matter that needs resolving is the LH Fig request. So this is with regards to the curb outside the Baptist church. Currently there is no drop curb to provide access or wheeled access to the Baptist church. So we are, well, councillors are asked to consider to request noting that we will submit a LH3 request for this to be considered. So that's in putting in a drop curb outside here so that people can access. It's just important to note though that Wilton Town Council would need to contribute, if this was agreed, 25% of the total cost. So any thoughts, questions?
Okay,
I'll support. So I've got a, if there's no questions, then I have a seconder. Seconder? Yeah, we've got a question.
Am I allowed to second when it's the LHV committee?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So we've got a seconder, all in favour? Great, so Councillor Matthews opposed, Councillor Fowler seconded. And the final item for resolution is in line with the council's performance and development policy. There's a requirement to set objectives for the town clerk for the 2026-2027 period. So we've got two vacancies to fill for this, as it were, not exactly vacancies, but two, I suppose, positions to appoint.
Could I make a proposal for this?
You can just, in fact, yeah. So there are two positions available, so we need to take nominations for those two positions. And I'll approach this similarly to how we would approach a co-option in the voting. Councillor Fan.
Yes, can I ask, could we defer this? The reason being, obviously in May next month, we vote in mayor and deputy. And I just think it would be good if these two people are not the mayor nor the deputy, because then we've got rid of the staffing committee, and it's nice to spread out the responsibilities and the knowledge amongst the whole group. So I was just thinking, could we defer it until after we've voted for the new mayor?
I'm not in favour of deferring it, but someone wants to make a proposal.
I was thinking I'd prefer it wasn't either the mayor or the deputy, so that other people are involved in the staffing process.
So basing that on the assumption that these two are going to stay in, or
no, we can't make any assumption, can we?
Yeah, but so deferring it won't make any difference. If
it could be on the annual meeting when we voted for the mayor, we know who the mayor and the deputy are, and then we know who's not involved in those two posts.
Well, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference who's involved in what post. It's going to be based on who, well, roughly knows what they're doing with people management and has time on their hands. Not that everyone's sat on bucket loads of time, but you know what I mean. I'm not sure that deferring is going to make any difference, personally.
And also, it's got to be down to, the people who want to do it. If there's somebody who's got a really strong opinion that they want to do it, then they go for it. And if they don't, then the people, it's not for us to volunteer somebody or put the names. It's, it's about people doing the job, and if people are doing more jobs than them, but they're happy with it, that's happy for them. Because at the end of the day, everything we do is open and unbiased, so it's irrelevant, really.
Ultimately, it's not down to me to make a decision as to whether it can be deferred or not. It's down to the council. So if you want to propose that it should be deferred, then please do. Yeah. And we'll search for a seconder. And
I propose that it's deferred till after we've got the new mayor, deputy in post.
Right, so you want to propose a deferral?
Can I ask a question? Is the clerk happy for this to be deferred?
Technically, it's not up to the clerk. So it's up to us. So that's fine. We'll take this to the vote if we can get. If we've got a seconder. So we've got a proposal to defer this item until the May meeting. Do I have a seconder? We have no seconder. Motion's failed. So in that case, we're back to the nominees. So do we have any nominees?
I'd like to propose Councillor Blackman.
Okay, so I've got one nomination. Can I have a seconder for Councillor Blackman? Councillor Ditton. Okay, is there any other nominations? I should also mention, I think Councillor Forbes has put forward a message to say that she wanted to be considered for this. Before I put, obviously Councillor Forbes isn't here, but I'll propose Councillor Forbes. Do I have a seconder for Councillor Forbes? Councillor Willett. Are there any other nominations? No other nominations have been put forward. On that basis then, for Councillor Blackman, those in favour? So that's 6 in favour, I think.
Okay, again.
6, yes, it is 6 in favour. There's
Yeah.
7 of us here tonight, 6 in favour.
I'm going to abstain.
You're going to abstain
tonight.
Because
I'll
I'll
take
take
it.
it.
Sorry, so
One abstain.
So 1 abstain, thank you. So 7 for 1 abstention. Councillor Forbes, all in favour? And I think, is that the same again?
I'll have to abstain again, wouldn't I?
Abstain.
Yeah.
After that, there is one.
Okay, so 1 abstention. So that then confirms that Councillor Blackwood and Councillor Forbes will set the clerk's, will work with council to set the clerk's objectives for 2026-27. And at 2022, that concludes this April's full council meeting. Thank you very much, everyone.
Well, thank you, those things you got from this.
I'll probably be much longer than that.
What's the procedure now for the?